A luxury French fashion house, we'll get you the name in a few moments, this week came under fire after their holiday children's campaign went public. In the campaign, the label is seen to have children adorned in the relatively pricey clothes, holding teddy bear-inspired handbags, strapped with what many perceive to be bondage-inspired straps and harnesses. The fashion house has since issued an apology for the ads and removed them from their websites and cleaned out their social media pages. We take a look at the reputational damage that follows from all of this. We're joined by public relations consultant Monde Mtsi. Monde, thank you very much for staying with us. How do we pronounce the name of this fashion brand?
Balenciaga.
Balenciaga. Thank you very much for that. So what do we need to understand about what happened here? What were they trying to advertise? What did they inadvertently do?
Well, good morning and thank you for having me. With regards to the holiday gifting campaign, the essential off the bat idea and thinking was that the accessories were the main attraction for the campaign. The inclusion of the children is unclear in terms of whether it was an aspect of the gifts are supposed to be seen as toys that adults would naturally play with, or if it's a matter of little trinkets that remind you of your childhood in terms of the things that you would like to get over a festive season experience. So the main reasons behind the inclusion of the children in the campaign have still been a little bit mum at the moment. And a lot of people are still trying to dig in to find out why the children were included to begin with. But the overall campaign for itself is all about the accessories and it's all about gifting options from the Balenciaga brand to your friends and family.
I mean, we're showing some of the pictures, right? And you've got these children that are on there, but you've also got curious things that are surrounding them, like champagne flutes, you've got wine glasses. Just talk us through, perhaps, when you see or saw those pictures, is there something to be said about why people are so outraged about this campaign?
I think first and foremost, it is how the images were set up. So there's been a lot of talk around how the children are the center of attraction around these accessories, almost making the children themselves part of the gifting thinking and theology around the imagery. And then as well as the teddy bears specifically in two of the images from the gifting campaign that were included. And the main issue with the two teddy bears was the fact that the teddy bears are adorned in BDSM or bondage style clothing and accessories, which is like leather, it's chains, it's locks. Something that is very specific to a more adult nature and an adult audience.
Which has made a lot of people uncomfortable. We understand that Balenciaga has since filed a $25 million lawsuit against the producers of the campaign, including the photographer. Just from a traffic point of view, how does it work, right? So who would have hired the photographer or the production company? What sort of checks and balances would need to have been done, especially when we consider that there's children involved?
Generally speaking, the brand itself would obviously manage the hiring process of the entire team that would be working on any campaign that they roll out. A lot of brands obviously do this internally in terms of setting up their own internal teams, but sometimes they hire external teams because maybe they believe in the vision and the production quality that certain suppliers and resources have access to. In this specific instance, Balenciaga really believes in North Six Inc., which is the production company, in terms of putting together this campaign from start to finish and running with it without them having to worry about any of the nitty-gritties, but only having to sign off on all the concepts, on any of the initial images, on any storyboarding, and any of the narrative that they actually put forward to them to say, this is what we would like the end product to look like. The set designer, Nicolas Dejargan, who was also hired to be part of this campaign, was specifically hired because they had a long-standing relationship, as well as the fact that his quality of work has been seen as some of the best in the industry from a global perspective. But to run back to the thinking around how all of this would have started, the idea of what they would wanted from the get-go would have come from Balenciaga. So they would have put a brief together to say, okay, guys, what we're going to roll out is a festive season accessory shoot, and this is what we're thinking. This is what we would potentially like the end images to look like. What are your thoughts? Could you present some concepts around how could we execute this? What would it look like? And the different characters, i.e. models, we could incorporate into this campaign in order to ensure that our objectives and the messaging are sold correctly to our audiences. And throughout this process, from when it started to when those images actually went live onto the website, Balenciaga would have been part of that process from start to finish. They would have had to sign off any of the concepts that were presented. They would also have to review any sort of nitty-gritties in terms of the models. So how are you selecting your models? Where are you selecting your models from? And also in terms of which photographer are you using? Why are you using this photographer? What is the photographer's vision? And how involved are they going to be in terms of the art direction or creative direction of the final images? So I think it's quite valid for a lot of the public to be upset and to actually point the finger at Balenciaga, because they would have generally needed to sign off a lot of things throughout this process. So there isn't any leeway for them to say that they did not know that anything would look this way or it would appear to communicate a specific message that they were not intending it to be. And it also begs the question during that process in terms of when you look at a concept, do you not ask yourself, how does this read to the normal person on the street? How does it translate to someone who's looking at it through social media? Does this come across as something innocent and childlike, or does it have a little bit of malice in it that could be potentially seen in a much larger negative and impactful manner? So Balenciaga definitely is at the forefront in terms of having been part and parcel of the drama that has occurred around them at the moment.
Monde MC is a PR consultant. Thank you very much for availing yourself this morning.